Welcome back to Lightning Round. 4 questions. Let's get started.
All right, so CBS, they had a distribution deal to distribute a video show, What's Trending. What's Trending tweets that Steve Jobs is dead. Turns out he's not. CBS cuts their deal. Did they overreact?
I don't think they overreacted. This, after all, is the network that got rid of Dan Rather after there were some less than truthful allegations in something that he was involved with. So if they're going to throw Dan Rather under the bus, I don't understand why new media people like us have to be so surprised that they discontinue the relationship with What's Trending and Shira Lazar. I think she's very talented. I think she'll bounce back. But I think this just reminds people 2 things, which is no matter how high you are, you really, unfortunately, are one mistake or one accident away from falling down. The day before she did this, she was on Times Square billboard, but she'll be fine. She's very talented. She was actually a moderator on a panel that I was on last year. She's very intelligent. She's an attractive gal, so I think she'll be fine. I think the bigger takeaway here is for us new media people is you are either in entertainment or you are in news. If you're in news, there's a reason why CNN doesn't always update right away. They check the facts. And I think in this case, it wasn't just the tweet that came out. It was the initial sort of correction, which was, unconfirmed, incorrect allegation, live on. I think that came across a bit insensitive. But even if they would have come out and corrected it right away, I think CBS had to do something, and unfortunately, that was it. Let me ask you this. This week, we saw the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. Is involvement of advertisers and even media companies covering it so much, is it inappropriate? And are they profiting from a horrible thing, or is it appropriate and tastefully done okay?
I don't think it's any more inappropriate than it is for us to bring it up on a tech show. It's expected. That's really what it was. Let's face it, it happened in our cultural backyard. It was a big deal. It was a lot of lives. It had huge economic and political aftershocks that we're still trying to cope with today. So 10 is a nice round number. 10-year anniversaries are a big thing, and I think we could expect to see it again in 25 years.
Okay, fair enough. Next question. The YouTube guys, Chad Hurley and Steve Chen, they are now trying to well, they already bought Delicious, and they're trying to resurrect it. Yahoo unloaded it, basically. Does Delicious have a shot at being relevant, let alone successful, in a day of Twitter and whatnot?
It does offer a very unique value proposition from Twitter. I'm just not sure if the market demand for the kind of a social cloud-based bookmarking service is still there. I think that maybe the money they got from the YouTube deal has kind of gone to their heads. They think they're geniuses and can fix anything. I'm not saying the thing can't be made to make money. I just think it's probably a waste of the money and talent that's going to get poured into it this time around.
So previously on the first segment, you asked me if Yahoo should maybe unload things like Flickr. I think what's interesting is when Yahoo bought Flickr, if you think about it, they could have combined it with Delicious, so the tagging aspect of Delicious, and introduced video, and you would have had YouTube. I think that when people think of missed opportunities at Yahoo, to me, that was probably one of the bigger ones. Okay.
They really failed to integrate a bunch of products across the board.
Pretty much, yeah. No, I think the reality is when you look at how successful Dig initially was and how quickly that fell and how Facebook and Twitter are the darlings and things change, I don't really see Delicious having much of a shot, and I do think that money gets to people and you just lose that drive to some extent. So it will be very interesting to see what they do, but I would be surprised if anything happens. Next question.
Question number 4, is Tim Armstrong going to lose his job at AOL?
I don't think he will get fired, if that's what you're asking, even though a lot of people are growing impatient of the excessive spending at Patch and the acquisition integration challenges occasionally, and especially the Michael Arrington, Arianna Huffington debacle. I think the bigger reality is when March 12th, 2012 rolls around, which is when the 3-year contract that he signed expires. My guess is he will probably leave. The only way where he might leave a bit sooner is if the board says, indirectly to maybe get him to leave sooner, is if they go, Tim, we're no longer authorizing the massive investment in Patch. Patch costs $120 million a year to grow and operate. That is insane for, yeah, local, lots of opportunity, but there's better ways to tackling that market. So I think he will leave sooner. If they say you can no longer invest in Patch, which was his baby, he had invested in it and then AOL bought it when he joined AOL. If not, I think when the 3 years comes up, it'll be a beautifully written press release saying how he's deciding to retire. The guy doesn't need money, right? He was like the former VP of sales for North America in Google, great sales guy. I think like the traits you need to be a really good sales guy are not necessarily the traits you need to be a CEO. Like I used to do sales, but I really don't like sales. I don't like to go in, as much as I like going in to meet these really attractive 20-something, ad agency gals. I don't really like doing that. It's not what I like. You know, it's like people say Steve Jobs is a great sales guy. Yeah, but he wouldn't be a good salesman. He just knows how to sell an idea. Tim Armstrong is a fantastic sales guy. He'll drink the Kool-Aid, believe in everything he's saying, but I just think the strategy that he has is impossible to execute. So no, he won't get fired, but he will probably leave come March 12th. What's the question of the week?
Question of the week, Brian from Detroit. And to Ash, how important is it to land PR mentions when you're running a startup?
I think it's very important to a degree and with an asterisk. I think, you know, startups that think, oh my God, if we get a mention on TechCrunch, that's going to build our business, that is false. But obviously being on, you know, like the first time that TechCrunch ran an article about us saying that we hit 50 million views, it was nice. It was like, you know, hey, you could send that link around. I think where it's more important, like let's say as a CEO, I think, you know, I'm always out there telling guys that what we're doing makes sense, that content is king, we're on the right track. And at the end of the day, your company looks, your colleagues, your employees look at you and they're like, maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, maybe he's just crazy. You know, but when they see PR mentions, like last week, Marketing Magazine featured us as one of the top digital media companies in the country, that's really great because it sort of allows me to be less of a sales guy, less of a cheerleader. I know I said I'm not a sales guy, but in the context of cheerleading, and you're like, hey, look, third-party validation. Other people think we're doing well. Let me ask you this. You sometimes work on behalf of companies to get PR mentions. Do you think that everybody in the organization, the tech guys, the sales guys, the legal guys, the content guys, whoever, do they really care, or you want them to care?
I think you want them to care, and if you're smart, you'll know how to make them care. Obviously, you can't control if you're just in startup phase and you're kind of in secret alpha, and for whatever random reason TechCrunch writes you up, they write you up, fine, it's done. But if you're actually going to go out of your way to try to get PR mentions, whether you're hiring an expensive agency or you have an intern spitting out random emails, the most important thing is to say, once we get that attention, what are we going to do with it? Rather than just, you know, generate some brand name recognition. If it doesn't impact your business in any way, well, then you're wasting your money going after it. You should probably focus on other things first. So if you are going to do it, make sure you have a way to make at least the sales guys or at least the tech guys or someone inside the organization care and have a plan in place to do something with that attention once it comes in.
Great feedback, great advice. That was the 6th installment of HipMojo. If you have any feedback or questions, email us at live@WatchMojo.com. See you next week.